Hello and welcome to Downright Books, the book review channel where we add insights into the worlds of literature for both those who do read and those who don't. In today's review, we're venturing more on the side of popular fiction and reviewing quite the runaway success of a book, that being The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. The Thursday Murder Club is certainly not a book I would have looked at twice had I seen it on a store shelf. The author of this work, Richard Osman, is actually a minor UK celebrity, best known for his work on the game show Pointless. Most of the time when I see a book published by a TV personality, I don't tend to think too much of it. There may be some snobbery to be found about me when you regard that statement. However, I'm always willing to take on new reading experiences, even ones where I judge the book by the cover or indeed the author based on his television work. There is certainly something different about this book though, and that's the fact that it is stuck to the Amazon UK book charts like a piece of sticky toffee. I've watched week after week and have continually seen this book climbing up and down the top 10 spots, so much so that I knew it was time I gave it more attention. It is true this isn't the normal style of book I review on this channel, but you know what? I don't regret picking this up. I was very pleasantly surprised. The Thursday Murder Club tells the tale of a group of pensioners living in a retirement community known as Cooper's Chase. On Thursday, they gather together to review past murders and unresolved cases. They are a lively and incredible, likeable bunch of characters who are certainly ones you'd be hard-pressed to forget. When a murder happens not far from the retirement village, the Thursday Murder Club come together and use all of their expertise to find the culprit. I must admit that simply hearing that description alone doesn't make it sound like the most interesting of books. You might be thinking, oh lovely, a book about a load of old pensioners going around solving crimes. What more could I want? That may partly be my fault. I did write that description and for that I put my hands up. But I must tell you, this book is far beyond a bland tale. This book is a murder mystery thriller which also features quite a strong and rather British sense of wit. It has some incredibly memorable characters, my favourite of these being Elizabeth, who's always 10 steps ahead of everybody, even the police department investigating the crime. This isn't my style of fiction at all. I don't usually read this category of book, and I certainly wouldn't be able to make a comparison in this review to the greats out there. I do own a collection of Sherlock Holmes tales, but they've yet to see my eyes, bless them. I would warn that this book has many British cultural references that would likely be lost on many people outside of the UK. Nonetheless, I don't think these would greatly interfere with the plot. Osman likes to mention places like Waitrose and Marks and Spencer's, and if you have no clue what they are, I'll give you a hint. They're supermarkets. Then some humour may be lost on you. And while we're on the topic of humour, I do think that in parts it is a little overused, but when it's done well, and that is at the points where you really start to know the characters, it's very enjoyable, and I'll admit that there were certain statements that did make me laugh. That was a very nice change. It's often on this channel that I'll be reviewing some rather heavy pieces in fiction, so to have a book put a smile on my face, and I'm sorry to quote the Joker there, that was a nice change and something that really made me value the whole experience of reading in general. If you've watched Richard Osman on the old wooden box, I'm sure you'll be aware that he presents himself as quite a humorous and intelligent man, and in many ways he's transferred those qualities into this work. I was very sceptical of this book as I thought it would have little substance and would only be selling so well because people were buying it based on their like for the author's TV appearances and not on his ability as a writer. But as you may have gathered, I was rather surprised. When reading this book at first, I did think, oh, here we go again, here's a bit of unnecessary humour crammed in just to fill some gaps. I'm used to reading these rather serious pieces of fiction, so I was very willing to write this off from the get-go. But I stuck with it, and I must admit that towards the end I was like a child scoffing cake. I needed to know what happened, I needed it all tied up, and that is certainly a credit to the author. If anything, it's a sign of a person who knows how to write, and most certainly someone who knows how to write a good mystery book. So with all things considered, I would score Mr. Osman's book a well-deserved 88 out of 100. This is a book that will certainly have you scratching at your head, but also laughing at the bizarreness of it all. It brings excitement into a place most people would think is void of such, and as a light-hearted and engaging read, it hit all the nails bang on the head. So a bit of a different book review this week, just going into a bit of popular fiction. You know, these kind of books, they may not be as deep as some of the older classical works, but they certainly get you thrilled for reading again, make you realise why you read in the first place, because they are page turners. This one really surprised me. On a side note, I think I'm going to start reviewing books on different levels and scales. We're going to need different scales for classical pieces perhaps, because it does get a little muddy putting all these books under one scoring system. So perhaps in future videos I'll grade classical pieces with letters and score newer works out of 100, because it's hard to compare them. I'm not going to say this book's better than certain classical works, but I may have rated certain pieces less or higher. So definitely going to look into that, or you know what, maybe I won't. Maybe we'll just stick as we are. Anyhow, I thank you very much for spending some time with me here today. Should you wish to read this book, let's pick it up and give it some limelight. This book right here, there'll be a little link below where you can buy it. It's a book that's nice and easy reading, very entertaining, something that will spark back your passion for reading, as I've said, and certainly one to take a look at. If you like murder mysteries, I mean, I found this very engaging. I don't read too many murder mysteries though, so I wouldn't know what to say, but in terms of, you know, one of the first ones I've ever read, I felt this was incredibly engaging and a great book. So certainly if you like mysteries, give it a go and let me know what you think. My friends, thank you again for watching. I will see you here again soon. Bye bye.